You ready?
Oh
Let's
God,
talk
let's
about
do
our
it.
shadowy super regulators, David. That is the subject, I think, this week and everything that they are doing. We've got to start with maybe the few events that happened, starting with Uniswap. So on Friday, just after we recorded our last weekly roll-up, it appeared that there were some investigations going on at Uniswap and from the SEC. Tell us about that, David.
Yeah, so Uniswap got a letter from an investigative letter from the SEC asking just for more information about the business. I mean, so in theory, these letters are totally just like peaceful and just casual. It's just like, hey, we would like to know more about you. But also like the context, the subcontext is that like we are looking to like figure out what to do with you guys. And so like while it doesn't indicate that Uniswap has done anything wrong or is being charged with anything, the SEC is just probing into Uniswap trying to like get more information. Is not a positive thing. It's definitely a negative thing.
This is not the kind of letter you can ignore, right? It's not the kind of thing, oh, junk mail, just going to throw that out.
SEC, right? I don't know them. I'm just going to recycle that one.
You cannot ignore these letters. And it's also, it's like, perjury, some very bad things can happen if you falsify the letters or don't provide the necessary information. It just gets you in the bad books with the SEC as well. Right. So I think investigation is maybe a bit more serious in some ways. It's not a formal charge, but this is not a small matter. Like, I don't know what questions are being asked from the SEC to Uniswap, but you can bet that there's a lot and like very detailed, right? And so Uniswap is definitely, this is Uniswap Labs, of course. They're definitely going to need to put in the time to answer these questions as accurately as possible. So that in and of itself is sort of a shot across the bow.
Yeah, and that is just the first of the regulatory issues that came out this week. So like that story is currently being like told. Like we're gonna just be hearing more and more from this. I'm sure the SEC is not done with Uniswap or DeFi. This is just the first of a very long story. But that story took another turn this week when Coinbase was informed by the SEC that the SEC, if they release a product, which they have been in open communications with the SEC, if Coinbase was told by the SEC that if they release a lending product, then the SEC is going to sue them. And that is extremely aggressive, and there's absolutely no dialogue going on between the SEC and Coinbase or anyone in the crypto space. And so this has been this blew up the whole Twitter sphere and crypto sphere in the last 2 days.
What do you mean by lending product for people who aren't familiar? What does that mean?
Right. So people might remember BlockFi getting a cease and desist letter from the SEC because the SEC said that their lending products are securities, which has some debate about that. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Don't listen to me about any of this. But this is the same kind of deal. Like, so lending products are maybe securities, and the SEC is trying to get Coinbase's lend product, which is just the same that we've known for like all these other centralized lending products, right? Like come and deposit your Bitcoin, your Ether, your stables, and then we'll get a yield on them. The problem is that the SEC doesn't like is that like how yield is being achieved on these things is opaque, and so investors don't have like good clarifications or clarity on how that yield is coming. And so like if like a black swan event happens, maybe depositors might actually lose their deposits, which is not enjoyable. And so that's what the SEC is claiming that they are trying to protect from.
What's Coinbase claiming? Coinbase is claiming that none of this qualifies as a security. It's like, we're lending money. We take your ETH, we take your Bitcoin, we lend it, just like if you lend money to a bank and they generate interest on those returns. It's just a lending product. This is not a security and is therefore outside of their jurisdiction. But the SEC is coming back and saying, Coinbase, if you release this, we will sue you. Right?
What they didn't do is provide explanation as to why the lend product is a security. They just said, if you release it, we're going to sue you, which is meaningfully different than providing any sort of guidance or indications as to their logic or analysis as to why this thing is a security at all. Apparently in the letter, in a letter to Coinbase, they said that they have done the analysis, but they didn't share what that analysis is, right? And so the threat is that like when we sue you and take you to court, we already have our analysis ready to go. Rather than broadcasting that to the entire industry and saying like, here is our guidance, here is our analysis, and allowing the industry to work around that, they say like, okay, we have our analysis, we're gonna keep our cards close to our heart, and then if you like, do anything wrong and if you break this analysis, we're gonna sue you, which is just like infuriating. It's infuriating. It's what that is.
Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating, and I can understand the frustration because this is not a typical move, right? Where a 3-letter agency from the Fed comes and says, hey, we're going to sue you if you do this thing. And then the company that's being threatened like this comes out and tells everybody about it, right? Usually the legal advice that you get in a situation like this is like, don't talk about it, right? Until we can reach settlement, until the investigation's over. But this is Coinbase now saying, okay, it's on. We're going to let everyone know what's going on. And so the chief legal officer has written this blog post that's clearly not meant, maybe it's partially meant for the SEC, but it's more meant for public support, wouldn't you say? The title of it, the SEC has told us it wants to sue us over Lend. We don't know why. And then Brian Armstrong put out this Twitter thread about, and it begins like this, some really sketchy behavior coming out of the SEC recently. And he goes into story time where he talks about what the SEC is doing. He says millions of crypto holders have been earning yield on their assets over the last few years. BlockFi is an example of that, David, as you said. It makes sense. If you want to lend out your funds, you can earn a return. Everyone seems happy with that. A bunch of great companies in crypto have been offering versions of this for years. So Coinbase came out recently and said they would be launching their own version. If you're a Coinbase customer, you might have seen the announcement. In fact, Gemini has a version of this, David, like BlockFi. Like this isn't even the only exchange that's doing this. Celsius. We were planning to go live in a few weeks. So this was all built out. It was all ready. So we reached out to the SEC to give them a friendly heads up. And this is what they always recommend, by the way. The SEC always says, hey, come tell us.
Let us know first, right?
If you're doing something. Well, in this case, it sounded like it kind of backfired. They responded by telling us this lend feature is a security. Okay. Seems strange, Brian says. How can lending be a security? So we asked the SEC to help us understand and share their view. We always make an effort to work proactively with regulators and keep an open mind. They refuse to tell us why they think it's a security. Instead, they subpoena a bunch of our records. We comply. Demand testimony from our employees. We comply. Then tell us they will be suing us if we proceed to launch with zero explanation as to why. Look, Brian says, we're committed to following the law. Sometimes the law is unclear. If the SEC wants to publish guidance, we are also happy to follow that. It's nice if you actually enforce it evenly across the industry, by the way, he says. But in this case, they are refusing to offer any opinion in writing to the industry on what should be allowed and why. No clarity. This is something Gary Gensler promised, David. Clarity. We're not getting clarity. Instead, they're engaging in intimidation tactics behind closed doors. Whatever their theory is here, feels like a reach land grab versus other regulators. He goes on with a few more tweets. I won't finish this out, but that gives kind of the tone for what's going on here. And here's the thing, like Coinbase from day one has always been their message, their branding, their approach to all of this has been, we're going to be by the book, like US regulated. Okay. Binance, like BitMEX, these companies will be more aggressive. They'll list other products earlier. But we're going to play it by the book because we think that's the better long-term strategy for a company and for a US-based company at the cost of growth. And they could have done things the Binance way and gone into kind of hyper growth, but they decided to play it by the book. And it feels like they're getting punished from that. And like, I got to say, if you're a regulator, you can't get along with Coinbase. I mean, who can you get along with?
Yeah. They're like the goody two shoes, teacher's pet of the crypto industry. They really do everything right. And like, if just like you said, if the teacher's pet is getting in trouble by the teacher, then there's obviously bias towards the whole entire classroom, right?
Yeah. Something wrong with the teacher is what's going on. This is hitting the front page of the Wall Street Journal, by the way. SEC investigates Coinbase over crypto lending plan on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So they are getting the press. I wonder what kind of public support they're getting. They certainly have the crypto industry support. Here's a take from Niraj. David, you want to go into this?
Yeah, so this is something we haven't covered about this yet. The SEC wants Coinbase to turn over the name and contact information of anyone who has said that they are interested in their lending platform.
Wow.
And so like, think about this. If this is a security, the people who have expressed interest in purchasing said security doesn't change whether that's a security or not. And so Niraj says, why would that be relevant to their investigation into whether the program is compliant or not?
Wow.
And so the SEC is targeting people that have expressed interest in lending their crypto assets on Coinbase. They want your name, they want your address, they want your phone number. For why? I have no clue.
To prosecute them in the future?
I have no clue. I do have a conspiracy actually, but
so I'm on this list because when I saw the Coinbase email, like I love to try things in crypto. So I put my hand up and I was like, yeah, I'd love to test
gonna need to get a new co-host sometime soon? Are you
confession time? I'm on the SEC's list for this, but why would they want that? What are some of the ideas floating around?
Okay, so the conspiracy, which again I'm on board with, is that when we zoom out and view the nation state as a holistic concept, we have the Treasury who's frustrated about people who aren't reporting their crypto taxes, which is legitimate, and they have tried to find ways to find the same information, like who are all the people that like own crypto or have interest in crypto. And then now we have the SEC coming from the other side, who's making this claim that this lending product is a security when everyone's like, why the hell is this a security? While they are making that claim, they're asking for everyone's name, birthday, address, their nation state identity. And so like the conspiracy is that like the SEC and the Treasury are like pincer attacking crypto people by trying to figure out who they are. Right. And that is, in my opinion, an infringement on personal privacy and personal sovereignty. That's my take.
Look, I don't know if that conspiracy theory holds, but you have to, I don't know of another explanation, right? Like, what is the explanation for why they are asking for all of these details? Right. Here's kind of a take I meant to say when we were talking about Uniswap. This is the complete backwards way of how a regulator should approach a Uniswap or a Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase has built a phenomenal company, like a company that the US as an economy should be proud to host within its borders, right? Like part of the next Silicon Valley. But Uniswap too. Uniswap is even more amazing. One of the most innovative and empowering tech projects to come out of America, an American team in the last decade. That's what I think Uniswap is, David. And I feel like the US should be giving Hayden Adams and the Uniswap team a medal, right? Like, thank you for doing this. Instead, those guys are getting an investigation. This is like a financial prison type stuff. This is completely backwards from the way they should be handling it.
Yeah, what's going on to me is like we have found ways out of this financial prison using DeFi. That's what DeFi is. It breaks you free from your banks. This is the lines we've been using. And then we have the Treasury and the SEC is like, no. Get back in your cage. I don't know. How did you get out of your cage? Get back in your cage.
It's basically what they're doing. Yeah. And I do feel like that. Let's do some other takes from around the crypto industry. This is from Jake Chervinsky. I think this is interesting. David, why don't you read it?
Yeah. Jake says, if the SEC thinks that all non-bank interest products are securities that require the offer to become a public reporting company, then they're not just picking a fight with crypto, they're going after the entire fintech space. So this, to me, this take lends itself towards the whole concept of protecting incumbents, right? Like protecting the banking incumbents. The banking side of the world, all the bankers, they were probably okay with fintech because they were built on banks. But now that there's crypto, fintechs don't need to be built on banks anymore. They can now be built on crypto rails, which is, again, breaking free from your bank. So to me, this illustrates how this might be incumbent protection rather than just investor protection.
Get back in your cage.
Get back in your cage. Yeah.
Look at this. Adam Cochran. Part of me wonders if the SEC's unwillingness to provide Coinbase guidance on why they are blocking their lend program is because they can't.
Right.
Like maybe they've realized that things they think are a security may not at all be accounted for in an act from 1933. They don't like it. They have concerns. Feels to them as if it should be a security, but under the Howey Test and Exchange Act, they know it won't really stand up in court. And they don't want to set a precedent that would make this industry harder on them. So Adam's basically saying maybe they're doing this backroom threatening because they don't actually have a case, right? It's a bluff card.
It's a bluff.
And Coinbase is being like, no, sorry. we're calling your bluff.
Yeah.
Maybe they finally overreached and like played their hand, extended their hand too far. And maybe now is the time where Coinbase, and why shouldn't it be Coinbase, David?
Right, it's got to be
They're
Coinbase.
so well resourced. Like they have the reputation, they have the prestige, they have the leadership to actually stand and fight this. Maybe now is the time. Maybe this could flip into a good thing.
Hey, SEC, get back in your cage. Get back in your cage.
So some of these crypto natives, what does Chainlink God think about it? Here he is responding from Brian Armstrong.
Right. So Chainlink God says, so the SEC is pushing people through a minefield without telling anyone where the mines are, yet at the same time telling to not step on any of the mines or else you will die. This makes zero logical sense. Right. Yeah. This is just the approach that we have been asking. As long as I've been in crypto, we've been asking for more regulation clarity. And instead of giving it to us, they're just taking us to court, which is absolutely insane and absolutely irresponsible and against the American principles.
Get back in your cage.
Get back in your cage.
Mark Cuban, he had a response to this too. Good to have more allies. And Mark Cuban is definitely an ally. He responds to Brian Armstrong. He said, Brian, this is regulation via litigation. They aren't capable of working through this themselves, and they're afraid of making mistakes in doing so. So they just leave it to the lawyers. Just the people you don't want impacting the new technologies. This is the key line. You have to go on the offensive. This is Mark Cuban saying, hey, they're trying to do regulation by litigation. So like they better arm up because we need to go on the offensive as a crypto industry and settle this in other ways. Settle this in the court of public opinion, settle this in the actual court system as well. We need to get offensive because they are clearly being aggressive. It's no longer like live and let live.
Right.
This is actually some aggressive impact. Like I want the ability to lend through my Coinbase account. I like Coinbase. I use it. Why shouldn't we have this ability?
Sure. Yeah. These are all great questions.
Jerry Brito, what's he say?
Jerry Brito says, if true, this is pretty underhanded. I know it's easy for me to say, but Coinbase should go ahead and launch its product, let the SEC sue it, and go to court. Let the SEC make its case and let a judge decide what the law is. Jerry Brito basically saying, Coinbase, take the offensive. Coinbase, don't ask for permission. Coinbase, we need you guys to break free out of this financial prison and lead the charge out of it, right? And and to push the SEC back. This is government overreach, and we need people to draw a line in the sand, saying like, no, like back off.
That's how this can get resolved, though.
Right. And if the SEC is not going to give us regulation willingly, we will force them to give us regulation by beating them in court.
Well, then you have court case rulings, and you have precedent established. I just wonder how long this process is going to take, right? So like, I do think the SEC is not going to give us clarity, so we have to get clarity via the courts. It just takes so much longer to do it. It'd be so much easier if you had a regulator that was just like armed across the aisle. Hey, crypto's doing some great things. We have these concerns. Right. Let's address these concerns over time. But we're not getting that from the SEC. Maybe we're getting it from other government agencies. I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel like we're getting that from the SEC right now. So I guess we have to go to court. But what does Coinbase do? Do they just release this product in the meanwhile?
Yep. And let people sign up. Yep.
Fight the court battle alongside? I wonder if they'll do that.
I hope they do. I hope they do. Yeah.
Here's the big take here. I just have one question to the SEC. Who are you trying to protect? Yep. Their mandate is to protect investors, David. Are they protecting us?
Yeah.
This is not an action.
They're investors in investors in banks, Ryan. Bank investors. That's who their job is to protect.
It feels like I don't actually know who they're trying to protect. I know it's not the average retail investor, right? Is it banks? Is it the Treasury? Is it their own regulatory control? Is it some other shadowy figure in like in the nation state government?
Some bond villain?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's not us. Right. I do know that. Yeah. But that would be the question I think we would have to Gary Gensler. It's like, who are you guys trying to protect?
Right.
I'm not feeling protected by this. I didn't
lose the plot.
Yeah. Did you get your DYDX airdrop, friend?
Absolutely not.
Do you feel protected because you didn't
lost out on a significant amount of money? Let me tell you that. Okay, so this take came from Eric Connor, who talks about Anthony Cesano. Anthony and I talked about this on a recent podcast episode, but I think the elected officials are extremely underestimating the influence coming from the crypto community. there's a gigantic power, culture, and wealth shift happening that most are ignoring. And I think the SEC is making this mistake as well. Like the crypto news ecosystem, like what you guys are listening to right now, is vibrant. We got Mark Cuban, we got like all of crypto Twitter, who like there's a lot of wealth in crypto, and so like all of these people have interest in like rallying their support behind Coinbase and against the SEC.
We have Reese Witherspoon now.
Yeah, we got Reith. Inside joke. Okay, but like that all the nation state regulators don't understand how vibrant and engaged the crypto community is, and how willing we are to like die for what we believe in. Like we will take this all the way to the very end, and I'm not sure the regulators will do the same for whatever the hell they believe in.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's that fervor either. And yeah, this is I think this is actually going to turn into a good thing for crypto. So There you have it, guys. Are we at war with the regulators? I don't know. We didn't fire the first shot, though. It seems like they did. Yeah. We'll see how this ends.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.